keep my cheat sheet here. In 1913, Keynes, an economist, he predicted that human beings will be working 15 hours per week. Today, the reality is a little different. We are working longer hours. Either we are working for a corporate, and the reason is because there is an expectation from the board, from shareholders, to grow our businesses. The second is internal structures are getting more and more complex, so we are spending more time in internal meetings. If you're an entrepreneur, because some of us in the rooms maybe have their own businesses, we are still working longer hours because maybe the passion for the business is strong, but the desire to get the return on investment faster is also very strong. While there may be different reasons, but there is an underlying theme why we are working longer. Any guesses? Anyone? Any guesses? Why are we working? Because that was the flaw in Keynes' prediction. Why he thought we would be working less. And why are we working more? Is the rise of capitalism is the lifestyle. Because our bonuses, our reward system is attached, and I'm not judging here, there's nothing wrong with it. But it is really that made individual get better and better. And this was the flaw in Keynes' prediction. So the title is, okay, there is no title, but how do you sort of lead the future workplace? And there have been some amazing 3 themes across, from AI to sustainability. But let's think about the workforce, because whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a corporate leader, you still have to lead the team. And there have been some amazing tips how to do it. So I'll give you my take. But I don't know if I can predict the future like Keynes, because I honestly don't know. Things are changing too fast. What are the things that will remain is what I feel will be important to understand. Number 1, people are becoming lazier. We want things faster. And that will continue to be the same thing. Speed of doing things, related to laziness and convenience. Number 3, our hypersensitivity. Today, while we are very global, but we are very scared to talk about sensitive topics because there's hyper-awareness and it's not going to go back. Hyper-connectivity. Everybody is connected. Even sitting in this room, we have some of us who are mobile. They're constantly connected to someone or somewhere. So these things are not going to go back. Knowing these things remain constant, how do you think the workplace will evolve, or the businesses that we run? Any guesses there? Anyone wants to make a suggestion?
Can you repeat?
How do you think, based on what we know today, how the workplace will evolve, or the way of doing businesses?
Well, it would be more complex.
More complex?
Yes, and with the advent of the AI and the GI, and also the kind of the economic development and also the equity that we are trying to attempt with the sustainability, the world is going to be much more complex than what we are today.
Absolutely. So complexity is going to stay at that word. But let's try and unpack it for the organization perspective and the way I see it. Number 1, and actually it's not me. One co-founder of LinkedIn, he predicted by 2035 the 9 to 5 working hours will no longer exist. Because there is a rise of freelancers. The way we understand the organization structure, permanent employees, temporary workers, outsourcing, we will also have freelancers, consultants. How, and the question then, as leaders, how will we maintain the culture of the organization? The CXO's tenures are getting shorter. The organizations on the SP 500 are getting shorter tenured. So how will that impact? Relating to that, the second thing is the change, the way we see weekends. Because weekends were invented sort of more formalized in the 60s and then the 90s and 2000 when I started my work career back in late 90s and early 2000s. Today, if you're a freelancer doing your own thing, you're always sort of on. And you can take a day off on Monday as well. It doesn't have to be Saturday, Sunday. So that is another thing. The third thing is unbossing, middle managers. And I know it's a sensitive one because for years, middle managers provided the sustainability to the organization. They were almost the checkers of the organization. Today, some of us view them as a lot of cost. They're not changing fast enough. And if you've got Gen Z in the organization, they see them as blockers. And some organization, whether it's City or biopharmaceutical, they have started to talk about that they're going to delay their organization a lot more. Of course, it's going to create some anxiety and nervousness in the system. And more importantly, the middle managers were never fast-tracked. So reskilling, upskilling, how much you want to invest is going to something that is going to be very important as leaders to make that decision. And if you're a middle manager, what do you do with your life? Because there is a threat looming on your head. There's a fourth piece, which is there's a lot of conversation about AI. World Health Organization recently published a report that annually businesses globally lose $1 trillion to productivity or lack of productivity. Because individuals are getting depressed, lonely, and there's anxiety. Of course, it exaggerated COVID, but it hasn't really stopped. So how does one balance, while there's a lot of AI and technology, which is extremely important, and it is going to take over our lives, but what do we do with anxiety and loneliness and depression? So as leaders, as workers, that's another element. Balancing that will be quite critical. And that's how I see the changing world. The final piece is, it has always been on our mind, the curiosity to learn. And there was a speaker here, she mentioned continuous education. I think that will just going to exaggerate a lot more because we don't know what we don't know today. So the only thing we can do is keep our minds and ears open and be present in situations where, I think you mentioned it. So, be present in situations because you never know what knowledge we are going to get. So these are the 5 things that are changing. From my perspective, there are a few things that will remain and call me unconventional. Number 1, hard work. And some of the speakers shared their journey. Some of you sitting there, I know you'll be getting awards. There is no shortcut to life. So whichever way we enter the future, the hard work will remain. The second thing is, human beings are generally curious, trial and error, that will remain. Number 3, the ethics and the reputation. That will never go out of fashion, it will always be in, you will be represented by the reputation that we have. I'm Fariha Salahuddin, I'm a founder of farihas.com. I've got an HR consultancy and a coaching advisory. My background, 25 plus years in HR. I was a senior vice president, former CHRO with PepsiCo, looking after Africa, Middle East, South Asia. Prior to that, I was with Pepsi, with GSK, looking after emerging markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Fariha.